Okay, this is a video on the different edit types in Adobe Premiere. Okay, so let's go here. I'm using my regular selection tool. So let's go over here to my timeline. Okay, so let's open this up. So I'm going to use my scroll wheel to open this up. Okay, so when I bring my cursor between these two clips, you see the arrow is pointing to the left there. Now, when this is red, this is going to be a regular trim. So if I click and drag, it shortens the first clip, but it leaves the hole. So you can get rid of the hole. All you have to do is click on it, hit the delete key, and it closes down. Or what they say is it does a ripple. Let me do a couple of undos. Probably it'd be much easier if you just did the ripple to begin with. There is a ripple edit tool over here, this guy. So the keyboard command is B. You can use that. So you can see it looks the same, only it's yellow. Although by default, if I'm using my regular selection tool, I can come over here and hold down the control key on the PC, the command key on the Mac, and you can see it turns yellow. So this will trim the clip. When I let go, it's going to close up the space. So this is a ripple edit. Let me do an undo, Ctrl Z. Now another type of, well, now if I want to go the other way, I bring it to this clip and you can see the arrow is pointing this way. So again, there's a regular trim, undo, hold the control, ripple edit, Ctrl Z. Now also if you want to do a ripple delete, say you want to get rid of a clip, if you just hit the delete key, it's going to leave a hole. Let me do an undo. On the PC, I'm not sure on the Mac. If I do Shift Delete, it does a ripple delete. Control Z. Okay. Another important edit is what we call a rolling edit. Let me bring my cursor in between the two things here. So now this, if I have my cursor directly on the barrier here, the border between these two clips, and I hold down the control key, I can do a rolling edit. There also is a rolling edit tool, which is over here. The keyboard command is N. So when we use this tool, or if I hold down my control key and drag, see how it looks. Now when I do this, this is changing. Right now it's shortening the clip on the left and increasing the clip on the right. So you can see on my timeline my edit point, where my edit point is doing. Now in this case I can't move it to the right because there's no more clip left. But that's a rolling edit. So we can use this to control the out point of one and the in point of the adjacent clip. And when you let go, you can see the overall time hasn't changed. Okay, now let's say we want to move a clip around. Let's say I want to take this clip on the end and I want to put it second. So using my regular selection tool, if I just drag it over, by default, it's going to overwrite what's already there. So I don't want to do that. Let's undo that. Now if I wanted to sort of just insert itself over here, which is really what I want, I'm going to hold down the control key. You see a funny little icon appears, and now when I drag this over, what it's going to do is it's going to insert itself at that point and just push everything else to the right. So there you go. So we see we didn't lose anything. Okay, now we're going to do what's called the 3-point edit. You see on my timeline here, I have an in point and an out point marked. Here in my source clip, I only have an in point selected. So whenever you have an endpoint on your timeline, that's where your video is going to go if you do an insert or overwrite. Normally it would go to where your playhead is. you can see on my timeline, from my in and out point, this is about 5 seconds long. This is much longer. So if I come to my source here, and let's say I want to do an insert, I don't want to overwrite, I just want to add it in, we can use these guys over here. So this is insert, which is your comma key. Overwrite is your period key. So I'm going to do an insert. So what it's going to do is it's going to start from the endpoint here, and then it's just going to put in more footage until it fills up that 5 seconds. So here's the 5 seconds that we just put in. So that's a 3-point edit. I'm going to do a couple undos, and now we're going to do a 4-point edit. Okay, so here's my in and out point here. Now let's put an out point on my source over here. So I'm just going to, I want to make sure it's, in this case, I'll make it bigger than my section over here. So I'll just hit the O key to make an out point. So now when I bring this in over here, the durations don't match. Let me bring this down a little bit. Over here, you can tell how long the section is. So I only have 5 seconds. So let's make this, I don't know, like 10, I guess. That'd be more reasonable. Okay, 15, that's good. So anyway, this in and out from here is longer than my timeline. So let's do an insert over here, or an overwrite, either one. Oh, we'll do an insert. So that's this guy here, insert. Now it's going to ask me what to do, because this section here doesn't fit in the timeline. So you can either ignore in point or out point of the source, or the in point or the out point in your timeline, in your sequence. So also there's one other choice too. You can change the speed of the clip in order to fit in this space. So it would speed this clip up in order to fit in this 5-second space. So let's try that. That could be fun. Let's say okay. So now it fit in the 5-second space, but only is going to play faster to just fill up that 5 seconds. Otherwise, let me do an undo. This time I'll do an overwrite just to change things up a bit. So now I'll hit the period key. So that's going to replace that 5-second spot in my sequence. And again, it's going to ask me what to do. So I'll just say we'll ignore the out point in the sequence. So I want it to start from here, and when it fills up to 5 seconds, it'll stop. So I'll say ignore source out point. And there you go. Now you can also do it the other way around too. You can have just an out point. I'll come over here. Let me clear my in and outs. So that on the PC, that's Ctrl Shift X. I'll just put an out point. I'll hit the O key. So now this is going to be a 3-point edit only with an out point. So, you know, it depends. So this has an out point and this has an in and out. So that's 3 points. This had in and out, that's a 4 point. So now let's see if I do insert. So what it's going to do is the clip will end where I have my out point here, and then it'll just sort of count backwards to fill up what's left. So I'm going to do insert. There we go. I mean overwrite, sorry. So now I put it in. So now this section here will end. Let's come over here. I'll just hit my back arrow key to go back a frame. So now this section here ends where I have my out points over here. Okay, now let's do a Q and W edit. So these two keys are right next to each other. So now say, for example, this clip over here, I'll select the clip. Let's say I want to cut out from the beginning of the clip to like this point. the clip must be selected. Put your playhead to the points where you want it to be cut. Now if I hit the Q key, what's going to happen is it's going to cut out from the beginning of the clip up to the playhead. So I'll hit Q, and that's what happens. Let me do an undo. Now a W, which is right next to each other, I'll move the playhead. So let's say I want to cut out the last part of this clip. So again, the clip must be selected. So now if I hit the Q key on the W key on my keyboard, it's going to trim off from the end of the clip to where the playhead is. So let's hit the W key, and that's how that works. So you can work very quickly this way. Now we're going to do what's called dynamic trimming. This is my favorite. This is very cool feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in between these two clips here. Now I'm going to hit the T key, T for trim. This takes me into my dynamic trim mode. So now I could see these two clips side by side. I can trim it right here using my mouse. This is doing a rolling trim. Let me do an undo. Also, if I bring my mouse over here, this is doing a ripple edit this way, a ripple edit that way. You can also use these controls down here to trim backwards or trim forward. Now down here, so right now this would do a ripple edit. Now you can also do it on the fly. If I hit the play button here, it's just going to play a little section pretty much right where the two clips come together. So I can click these buttons over here, or I could use my keyboard commands, and you see what they are as you put your mouse over it. So I can do Control left arrow. This is trimming it to the left, and then I can watch it as I go. Now also you can do it in the timeline too. Let me stop this. I'm still in trim mode now. Down here, this is doing a ripple edit, a rolling edit, I'm sorry. Now if you want to change the type of edits, you just use your Shift T. Now watch this change. I'll do Shift T. So now that's doing a ripple edit, editing the left clip. Shift T again, that's doing a ripple edit, editing the right clip. Shift T, now this does a regular trim, so this is going to leave a hole. So probably you don't want that. And this is you doing a regular trim on the other side. So I pretty much want a ripple edit. Let's say I want to match the angle of the cubes here. I'm not going to match the exact size. I would have to pick two better clips to do that with. Now also let's make this bigger too. We can make this bigger so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. There we go. So now down on the bottom, let's say I want to trim. I want to do trim on the left clip. I'll do a ripple edit on the left clip just to get the angle of the cube a little bit better. So I'll do a Shift T till I get my ripple edit over here. And now I'm going to use my keyboard. I think is the easiest way to do it. I'll do my Control left arrow. This will do one frame at a time. Now if you want to go faster, just add in the Shift. This will do 5 frames at a time. So you can see you can do this very easily. And again, you can also do this on the fly. You can do it as it's playing. But in this case, I think this is the easiest way to do it. So, very easy. I mean, you can't beat it. Now also over here, if you wanted to, this will put in the default transition, which is a crossfade. What the heck, let's do it. I actually wouldn't do this, but let's do it anyway, just for fun. And now we could play it, see what we get. So it's just going to play this small section here. In this case, I really don't like that, but that's okay. Let me stop it. Now stop, you just get out of it and then go back down here to your timeline, and then you're back in your regular mode. See, I really don't like that transition, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Now we're going to do slip and slide edits. So this you really do it with the 3 adjacent clips here. So this tool here, this is the slip tool. When we use the slip tool, so we're going to be working with these 3 clips, second, third, and the 4th one. So with the slip edits, watch what happens when I move my mouse here. So what's happening with this, the end part of the clip on the left is staying the same. Well, the 2 outside clips are not being changed. Just the middle clip here, we're changing where that clip begins and ends. Of course, you need some footage there too. You can't just have the end of the footage, then you're out of luck. So with this one here, the slip edit, you're just changing the beginning and the end points of that middle clip. The 2 adjacent clips are remaining the same. Now let's do a slide edit. So that's this tool down here. So the slide edit is sort of the opposite. Now if I click on this middle clip and I move it, you can see what's changing, and you can also sort of see it on the timeline here. Now the middle clip that I'm actually dragging back and forth, that remains unchanged. What you're changing is you're changing where the clips on the ends of it begin and end. So if I drag this to the right, it's changing where the clip on the left ends and where the clip on the right begins. So now you see when I let go, you see this first clip has been shortened and this other clip here has been lengthened. So this one starts a little bit earlier, and this one ends a little bit sooner. So that's your slip and slide edit. It's very handy tool. Okay, so I think that's about it.